Hey guys, today, we infiltrate Elmore like a glitter-fueled fever dream, with poor decision-making skills and a four-member army called Brainrot. You know, just your average Tuesday. The sky is unusually green. The clouds form the shape of exclamation marks. And someone has drawn a mustache on the sun. You step forward wooden, unreadable, mysterious. You are Tung Tung Sahur, commander of the Brainrot Army destroyer of syllabi, and recently voted most likely to accidentally resurrect a locker. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now let's ease into today's journey together. You arrive at Elmore disguised as a visiting philosophy substitute with a glowing letter of recommendation written entirely in question marks. Behind you marches your squad Tralalero Tralala, wearing a trench coat made of punchlines and feathers. Udin din dun wrapped in duct tape and pure enthusiasm. And Burbaloni Luliloli, whose top hat seems to store more secrets than the school server room. Gumball stares from the hallway window. Oh no, he mutters. They've hired Weird again. Inside, Principal Brown is attempting to conduct a normal morning assembly, which is impressive, considering he's already halfway swallowed by a malfunctioning welcome banner. We'd like to welcome our new guest educators, he announces, muffled. You step forward, so does your stick. But wait, no beat. You're not tapping today, you're observing. Elmore doesn't recognize what's about to hit it. The first class is science. You're assigned to co-teach with Banana Joe. This goes poorly fast. Joe insists on proving gravity with jellybeans and a trampoline. You insist on rewriting the periodic table based on emotional temperature. Udin dun 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 sings every element name in reverse alphabetical order. The classroom whiteboard combusts into a haiku. Hydrogen feels blue. Oxygen sighs before bed. Neon wears no pants. Darwin whispers, "Is this chemistry or poetry? Slam warfare?" No one answers. The petri dishes begin whispering secrets. A frog grows tiny sneakers. You gently nod. Next is math. Or what used to be math. Now it's abstract truth fractals. By Burbaloni, he teaches using cheese sticks and recursive riddles. Carmen the cactus panics. None of this makes sense, she cries. Burbaloni responds. But sense is subjective in an expanding syllabus. The floor briefly becomes a chessboard. Tobias falls into a diagonal dimension. Gumball attempts to resist. He constructs an anti-weird barrier using duct tape sarcasm and Aeneas's logical algorithms. It lasts exactly 4 seconds. Tralalero floats in wielding a ukulele and quoting ancient memes. The barrier folds into a swan and flies away. You move silently through the halls. Teachers try to engage you. You offer nothing but cryptic nods. A janitor asks where you're from. You whisper somewhere between plot twist and poetic license. Later that afternoon in art class, Udin paints with interpretive elbows. Tralalero builds a sculpture out of invisible materials and calls it social anxiety. Gumball throws clay at the wall, hoping it'll scream answers. It does. The scream is in D minor. Nicole Watterson is alerted. When she arrives, she's wearing combat mom mode, denim blazer, coffee breath, and unshakable justice. Explain what's going on, she says. You look her dead in the eyes. Philosophy, you reply. She doesn't blink, I see. The bell rings. Except it doesn't ring, it sighs. Udin has retuned it to the frequency of mild regret. Elmore students drift out like confused moths. The sun hiccups. The playground echoes existential dread. Banana Joe stares at the sky and mutters, "Wasn't it lunchtime 10 minutes ago?" Darwin checks the clock. It now runs on pancake batter and moral ambiguity. And somewhere in the teacher's lounge, Principal Brown cries softly into a cup of dry cereal. Back in the hall, Gumball confronts you. "What do you want?" he demands. You shrug. Tralalero hums a minor chord. Elmore must evolve, you say. To what, Gumball asks. To narrative purity. You mean chaos. You smile for the first time. Same thing. And as your army regroups beneath the Elmore school motto, "We try our bestish," you realize something profound. You didn't bring destruction. You brought a mid-season character arc. You return to the front entrance of Elmore, which has now politely reconfigured itself into a rotating Mobius strip, made of doors, none of which lead to the parking lot. Gumball, now wearing a helmet fashioned from an empty yogurt tub, is rallying students to form a resistance armed with cafeteria sporks and determination fueled by confusion. Yu stroll past arms, crossed a slight nod to Burbaloni Luliloli, who's currently convincing the school vending machine to only accept interpretive dance as currency. Banana Joe attempts a cha-cha to get a juice box. The machine weeps confetti. Inside, Nicole Watterson is typing frantically at the central school computer, which now runs on existential riddles. System error. Please define truth. She slams the enter key and mutters, "Why is this school allergic to normal?" Meanwhile, your army sets up camp in the music room, which has evolved into a collaborative think tank of harmonic chaos. Tralalero Tralala replaces sheet music with bubble wrap and chalk dust. Udin Dun 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 is building a thought-powered metronome out of crayons and what may be fragments of Principal Brown's dignity. The moment is ripe. You step into the hallway where Gumball is trying to tape signs that say resist, while Darwin is just handing out snacks and whispering, "Honestly, I'm just here for vibes." Nicole bursts in holding the school rulebook now rewritten by Burbaloni as guidelines for symphonic integrity. She confronts you in the cafeteria, which now hosts an opera about the emotional breakdown of a taco. She squints. "You violated every policy Elmore has ever written." You raise an eyebrow. "We prefer to think of it as rewriting cultural norms through interpretive soup," she snaps. Motioning to the stew pot in the center of the room that occasionally recites Shakespeare in Italian. You nod solemnly. In gym class, chaos accelerates. Burbaloni leads dodgeball with invisible balls that only affect players emotionally. Tobias weeps and doesn't know why. Banana Joe gets tackled by abstract guilt. The scoreboard is now a mood ring. Meanwhile, Gumball finally makes a break for the PA system. He broadcasts an emergency message to the school students of Elmore. "I know we've faced weirdness before, like the time our math test turned into a musical, or when the library became sentient and demanded tribute. But this is next level." These people, they're not educators. They're plot devices with loose morals. At that moment, the PA explodes into a fog of marshmallow irony. Tralalero is now on the roof writing metaphysical haikus into the clouds using a kite made of old gym shorts. Udin Dun 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 starts teaching birds how to beatbox. Gumball corners you outside the library, which now houses portals to unused B-plots. "You're breaking everything," he yells. You lean in and say, "No, we're fixing the pacing," by ruining the structure. By reminding the audience that Elmore never had one. Just then, Darwin points to the sky. Why is the moon blinking? Above the celestial body winks. Elmore's narrative laws tremble. Time slows. Banana Joe enters a philosophical coma after biting into a sentient croissant. Carmen loses a debate with a stop sign. The school's hamster begins reading Nietzsche. Principal Brown appears in a hamster ball. "Order," he squeaks. "Someone restore order." Nicole facepalms so hard the chalkboards reset. You sit quietly on the fountain edge outside the gym. Tralalero joins, sipping cosmic tea made from plot holes. "We've destabilized expectations," she says. You reply, "We haven't destroyed the school." She nods. "We've freed it from genre." At that moment, the Elmore yearbook levitates. The index rewrites itself. Under S, it now reads, "Sahur Tung Tung Roll Catalyst Philosophy, yes. The sun rises sideways." You know things are getting serious when physics stops attending class. Elmore floats now just slightly, like it's trying to make up its mind about gravity. You walk calmly across the courtyard where every third bush is now a therapist. One nods at you as you pass. "We're unpacking years of narrative repression," it murmurs. "You're doing great." In the science lab, Udin Dun 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 has fused beakers with maracas. Every chemical reaction ends in an interpretive dance. Carrie the ghost floats through the wall just in time to see a flask do the cha-cha. She leaves immediately. Meanwhile, Gumball assembles a council of resistance. The war room is behind the water fountain that sometimes dispenses apple juice if you compliment it. There, Gumball paces on a table while Darwin draws blueprints with crayons and banana peels. "Okay," Gumball says, gesturing wildly. We neutralize Tung Tung Sahur's narrative arc by confusing him with our own "we go meta." We flip the plot. We montage our way out. Alan floats in, smiling awkwardly. "Hi, I brought snacks and a mild existential dilemma. The scroll girl pops in from an air vent whispering, "They're rewriting the tone again. This script has no spine." Back in the principal's office, now shaped like a Rubik's Cube. With tenure, Principal Brown hyperventilates into a sock puppet that's been legally deputized by Elmore's emergency bylaws. "This is not education," he squeals. "This is avant-garde anarchy." Nicole bursts in again, this time wearing a tactical apron. "I've had enough," she growls, slamming a binder full of reasons she's not paid enough for this. She storms into the hallway where the Brainrot Army is teaching gym class via interpretive mime. She yells, "Stop teaching a class called Emotional Agility Through Metaphor. Burbaloni." Luliloli curtsies and replies, but the students love it. Indeed, a group of children are now silently miming the emotional turmoil of misplaced homework. One kid collapses, sobbing into a puddle of abstract guilt. In the cafeteria, Tralalero Tralala is reorganizing the menu by theme: Mondays, Regret Tuesdays, Hope, and Wednesdays, Lasagna Reincarnation. Darwin orders a regret salad and immediately forgets what he wanted. Banana Joe finds a spoon that whispers encouragement. Aeneas programs the microwave to detect foreshadowing. You stroll in and nod approvingly. Because the plan, it's working. Not just to disrupt, but to awaken. Elmore is changing. Even the vending machines start offering emotional support candy. The janitor mop unionizes. The gym scoreboard begins judging students by poetic rhythm. Meanwhile, Gumball executes Operation Twist-a-Plot. He charges into the hallway with a whiteboard, shouting, "If we can confuse the writers enough, maybe they'll give up and end the episode." Darwin hands out cue cards. Aeneas edits the subtitles in real time. They corner you near the lockers. "You're destroying canon," Gumball shouts, holding up a drawing of Elmore's past 3 finales. You raise an eyebrow. "What canon we time-traveled using pizza once?" "That was different," Gumball insists. "How?" "It had a lesson." Darwin quietly says, "Did it though?" Just then, the floor turns into a philosophical trampoline. You all bounce mid-argument. Tralalero floats in from the ceiling, sipping metaphor. "I wrote an epilogue for this moment," she says. "It's a poem about circular logic." You nod. "We'll use it as the syllabus." That's when Elmore itself speaks. The bricks shiver. The sky flickers. And the old-school mascot, long retired after the mascot rebellion incident of Season 6, reemerges from the boiler room. It's a giant jellybean in a cape humming the school anthem backwards. It points at you. "You've unleashed it," it says. Unleashed what Darwin whispers. The final form of narrative freedom. From the floor, a portal opens. Not ominous, just curious. The students gather. Even Nicole freezes. And you smile. Because the chaos isn't ending. It's evolving. Elmore doesn't need order. It needs expression. You raise your hand. The students go silent. You say 3 words. Follow the rhythm. The jellybean mascot nods solemnly and vanishes. The portal yawns open like it's had a long day explaining itself to metaphysics. Gumball stares at it and mumbles, "Okay, but like, what's the dress code for narrative transcendence?" Aeneas, already wearing a lab coat, tactical boots, and a monocle made of broken plot points, replies, "Thematically relevant layers." Duh. You step in first. Because of course you do. Because you're Tung Tung Sahur. And when a portal to the heart of chaotic storytelling opens beneath a hallway where the water fountains spit jazz and the lockers have started whispering spoilers, you don't hesitate. You pose. Inside darkness. But it's not empty. It's brimming. With unused B-plots. With deleted scenes. With every flashback the animators forgot to animate. Floating above you, a slow carousel of Elmore's weirdest moments playing on loop like a theme park for rejected storyboards. There's the episode where Banana Joe cloned himself into a banana republic. There's the timeline where Darwin was elected mayor of the gym. And yes, there's even the unaired holiday special, The Sock Who Knew Too Much. And in the center, a control panel. Made entirely of stickers, mood rings, and sticky notes from forgotten teachers. You touch it. Immediately, the void reshapes. Darwin is now a cloud. Gumball turns into a sentient exclamation mark. And the Brainrot Army. Oh, we evolve. Tralalero. Tralala sprouts a quill tail that writes emotional commentary as she speaks. Burbaloni Luliloli now floats 3 inches above every surface, chanting catchphrases in reverse. Udin din 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 done becomes a bass drop with legs. You Tung Tung Sahur gain glowing lines of narrative energy pulsing beneath your bark. Okay, says Gumball, hovering sideways. Are we still in school? You shake your head. No, we're in the meta finale now, aren't we? You nod. He looks at Darwin. I knew it, they shout in unison. From the far end of the void, Principal Brown floats in. But this isn't Principal Brown. This is Omni Brown, formed of every disciplinary action ever taken in Elmore. His tie loops through dimensions. His clipboard holds the entire student body's permanent records and several pizza coupons. I have come to restore balance, he roars. You squint. Why do you have a spatula? He pauses. It's symbolic. Omni Brown whips his clipboard and flings it like a boomerang of bureaucracy. You dodge. Darwin sneezes himself into a filing cabinet. Burbaloni counters with a dazzling display of interpretive paperwork, each sheet reenacting the cafeteria lasagna uprising in 4 acts. Tralalero begins singing the subtext aloud. The portal flares. The void trembles. You know what to do. You slap the stickers on the panel. You rewrite the climax. Scene Elmore's auditorium. Except huge. Stadium-sized. Bleachers of sentient characters past and present. Even the potato with anxiety is here. The scroll girl raises a glittery sign, "Make it make sense." Gumball steps forward. All right, speech time. He clears his throat. Dear narrative gods, editors and people watching from the ceiling vents, we accept the chaos. We welcome the nonsense, but we demand a pizza break. Thunderous applause. A pizza rains from above. Not metaphorically, literally. Pepperoni, sentient. It lands in Banana Joe's lap and whispers, "We are the crust of change." Nicole finally relaxes. She nods at you, and you do not speak. You gesture. The army assembles behind you. The portal spins faster. You've given Elmore what it never dared admit it wanted. A finale with philosophical clarity and cheese. You tap your foot once, not to command, but to signal closure. And just like that, everything stabilizes. Almost. Alan floats down holding a clipboard. Quick survey, he chirps. Did this conclusion challenge your perception of linear storytelling? Gumball writes potato and hands it back. Darwin gives it a sticker. Tralalero eats the survey. You smile. Because Elmore is still weird, still impossible, still beautiful, and it knows now that rhythm isn't about control. It's about connection. The scroll girl hugs you. Banana Joe explodes. Again. That's just a thing he does. And from the sky, a message appears in glowing font. Season finale A++ would confuse again. And just like that, you're in the middle of the school auditorium, which, mind you, is now hovering upside down 40 feet above the cafeteria because gravity gave up somewhere around the chorus of events. The air smells like dry erase markers and unresolved backstory. Gumball is pacing, muttering something about Canon Breach Clause 7A, while Darwin spins slowly in a swivel chair, labeled Plot Twist Consultant. Burbaloni Luliloli is in the corner trying to interrogate a smartboard that keeps displaying ancient memes. Udin Din 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 Dun is levitating cross-legged whispering riddles to a floating rubber chicken. No one knows why. Tralalero Tralala is sketching blueprints for a peace treaty in whipped cream. And you're just standing in the center like a wooden chess piece the universe accidentally promoted to Game Master. So, Gumball says, popping into frame with a flashlight under his chin. What happens when you do destroy the school, but it becomes cooler after, you blink? Character development. No. Worse, Darwin whispers. Fan theory confirmation. Just then, a blackboard slams open like it's a trapdoor. A glowing translucent figure floats out, its Principal Brown's conscience holding a white flag and a permanent marker. I've read the bylaws, it moans. Technically, you're allowed to reconstruct reality as long as you have at least one functioning library, and the emotional arc completes before episode runtime. You stare, then raise one eyebrow. That's it. Brown's conscience nods. Also no school on Wednesdays now. Burbaloni cheers. Udin begins chanting free structure and creates a loophole in the ceiling shaped like a sentient fish. Tralalero high-fives a coffee machine. You step forward, because it's time. One last act. The hallway outside is glowing, no pulsing. With rhythm, with narrative tension, with pudding. No one's quite sure. The walls are now made of annotated scripts and existential graffiti. Was Banana Joe ever real? Is scrawled in 6 different fonts. There's a door. It's marked finale access only. You reach for it, and then Alan appears. He floats gently, too gently, smiling like he just solved empathy and now wants a sequel. You passed the test, he says. I wasn't taking one. Exactly, he winks. That's why you passed. Behind him, a glowing score floats in the air reading Tung Tung Sahur. 8.910 would narratively destabilize again. You open the door. Inside is not a room. It's a timeline. Floating, fragmented, reshaped like a lava lamp with ambition. You step across moments like stepping stones. There's Gumball getting stuck in the printer again. There's Banana Joe learning the truth about his peel. There's Udin running a jazz club inside a locker. And finally, you find it. The core. Not a core of power, a core of why. A pulsing, glowing idea. Elmore should be chaotic, but never cruel. You nod. You plant your stick not to control, not to reset, but to listen. It hums once, then breaks itself apart into light. The timeline stabilizes. Reality doesn't collapse. It evolves. You're back in the hallway. Everything's normal. The floors are floors again. The windows just show clouds, not potential. Gumball taps your shoulder. So was this like a reboot? You shrug. Maybe it was a remix. Darwin nods solemnly, with extra bass. Tralalero floats down on a filing cabinet and offers you a mango. Burbaloni hands out t-shirts. They read, "I destroyed Elmore, and all I got was this better Elmore." Udin rewrites the school anthem using only one syllable done. You exhale, not because it's over, because now it's alive. And somewhere in the depths of an unused art classroom, a pencil sharpener blinks. Because Elmore listens now. And chaos. Chaos knows your name.